Welcome to the GBBS podcast. That's Games, Books, and Bullshit, episode 4 with Nick and Wendy. My name's Nick, also known as Nickinator15 on the interwebs. Basically anywhere your thumbs can go. And who do I got over sitting here? We got Wendy.
Hey, what's up? I'm Wendy. I am a broadcaster on the Twitch, on the awesome streaming website, twitch.tv/BravoChick, and you can catch me on Twitter at BravoChick10. I've been kind of like not around here lately because I kind of hurt my foot, and that's been kind of sucky, but hopefully we'll get back at it this Friday. So yeah.
Hell yeah, pump it up. Friday's tomorrow.
Pump it up.
So
Friday is tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm doing.
Oh,
yet,
time's flying.
Something for sure. Can confirm.
It's flying, you know. So. Anyhow, last episode.
It's August. Insane.
Oh yeah, almost August. Oh my gosh, don't even get me started. Anyhow, last episode we talked about a few different things. So in the gaming section, we talked about Ubisoft pulling the support for the older game titles. We talked about some new games like Skull and Bones being rushed due to a government mandate. Who would have known that the government has control over video games now? But here we are, They got government money, so the government's like, we give you money, we want product now. Weird world. Why is that so hard to say? I don't know. It is
a weird world.
We talked about the book we were reading, which we're going to talk about as well in this podcast. Such a Quiet Place.
Yep, we wrapped it.
Yeah.
So when we get to that section, we'll be talking about it and revealing what we're going to read next. Ooh.
And then our holiday weekend celebrations. I mean, in the U.S., it's July 4th, and for Canada, it was Canada Day. So we talked a little bit about that. And
great
yeah.
Weekends.
So what do we got going on today in this podcast there, Wendy?
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about what we have been playing. What's coming down the pipeline. Of course, we're going to cover some gaming news, some good deals if they're to be had. We're going to cover the book, and then of course the bullshit section, which is such a good section because we cover like you get Nick and Wendy, at our core there, where we're just shooting the yellow shit and talking.
Just, talk about what's going on in our lives, just sit down and basically have a conversation and not really talk about, specific things. It's just whatever we kind of...
Just whatever kind of...
flows out of our mouth.
Keep like a loose script, but for the most part, we're just winging it,
Yeah, like, I kind of go through my weeks and kind of put some things down that, I want to talk about in the gaming section and whatnot, so...
What you been playing there, Nick?
Oh, okay. I've been playing a few different games. I'm not gonna lie. It's been actually kind of slowed down a little bit. All right, so I've kind of slowed my schedule down a little bit. I don't even have a schedule anymore, but I've kind of slowed down streaming and all that. I've got other things going on in life, working. I got school coming up. It's getting busy out here, so slowing down a little bit. But I've been continuing Far Cry. So I've started Far Cry 4.
Yeah, you're on 4 now, right?
Yeah, on the 4th one. That's been fun after finishing 3 and the DLC Blood Dragon for number 3. And I've also been playing a little bit of Dinkum, which I know you've been playing as well.
Yes.
So,
yes.
That's been an interesting game. It's like Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, those kind of games. And it's kind of interesting.
You and our good friend Talicon introduced me to this game. I was watching y'all play one night. You were streaming it over the Discord, and I was watching it, and I don't know, y'all might have gotten 20 minutes in, and I was like, all right, sold. Here's take more of my money. It's not like I gave you enough during the Steam summer sale at all, but here, take some more money and give me this game. And I tell you, they hooked me. I love that game. I love that game so much. I'm sure I'm going to be streaming that game quite a bit here coming up really soon.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a very chill game. and you kind of play in an Australian world, and you like make a little town, like a village, I guess, and you just collect resources and stuff. The people that you fight, like the little creatures and stuff you fight, are pretty easygoing and stuff. You know, it's a very relaxing game. So
it is, and you play it more or less at your pace. There's quests to do, and you can talk to the little people that move into your town, and if they have a job for you, you know, you build up, you know, a reputation with them, I guess, or a relationship or friendship or whatever. And so yeah, it's a really cute, chill, fun game, and I can't wait to stream it. And we're going to be, so on stream, I'm going to do like a brand new world with a brand new character. So it's going to be from scratch, because right now if we're not toward the end game, if we're not in game already, we're headed there.
Pretty close, yeah.
We're playing now, yeah.
It's still in, I'm pretty sure it's early access as well.
Yes.
So yeah, they're releasing all sorts of new content, so.
Yeah, that's exciting. I love it when a game is continuously developing like that. Like, good stuff. Yeah.
I've also played another game that I'm going to talk about when we get to the gaming news section, because it's actually a recent release. So we'll get you. There's a hint for you there. Maybe you've already heard of it. So anyhow, let's talk about what we're looking forward to. And a big one is coming from your side. You're really excited about it. So
yes, I am so excited for Montana.
You got a shirt. I know. I saw that on Twitter.
It's backwards. Yeah, go to Twitter at BravoChick10 and you can see a picture of it. But the Montana DLC for American Truck Simulator should be coming out within the next week or two. They released more gameplay footage of it today. Apparently they did a stream showing off some Montana footage earlier, like a week or so ago or something like that. And it's getting close. It's getting really, really close.
Very close,
I'm super excited, because I'm so excited for Montana that I've been like doing a run or two on ATS every day, and I'm actually really enjoying it. Like, I thought I was kind of done with ATS, but I guess after having a little break or whatever, I'm rekindling some fire there. Like, it's still there. I still enjoy that game.
Yeah, and then hopefully we get Texas soon after, for sure.
I think, because there's still, like, SCS is still releasing frequent updates, you know, talking about Texas on their blog. So if I was a betting girl, and we all know I am, I would say I would expect Texas in December, or, you know, the holiday season. That would be my guess.
Sounds about right. I think one of their DLCs they've released in like November or something, I think is a common time for them to release. So,
for sure.
Another thing that I'm looking forward to playing that's not coming out, but it's already out and stuff, but I'm looking to play with Wendy here, is two games, A Way Out and It Takes Two.
Yes.
So those look like really fun co-op games where you kind of play side by side. And you work together.
I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with that. I'm really looking forward to playing those, and I think we might be diving into one of those this weekend. We'll see.
Yeah, probably. So keep an eye out for that. And that takes us into the gaming kind of news section.
The gaming news. So Twitch cuts its mandatory monthly earnings in half from 100 to 50. That basically means and like they're rolling it out. It isn't like they're just going to flip a switch and it's going to be, you know, global. They're starting out in like Mexico, Venezuela, Japan, and some really interesting countries. Anyway,
it's not in the U.S. yet.
It's not in the U.S. It's not in Canada yet, or the U.K. But basically, what they're saying is, so as a streamer, you know, affiliated, partnered, you know, you have the option to make money through your stream, but in order to get like paid out at the end of the month, you always had to make a minimum of $100. So as long as you hit that $100 threshold, you'd get paid the next month. For me, I get paid like around the 12th or 13th. I think.
Yeah, they do about midway. They do about midway through the month. They'll do a payout.
Right.
Once a month.
So, but basically, what Twitch is saying is, you know what? this is money that people out of the kindness of their hearts have given to you, or you have earned it in some way, shape, or form. And I personally use, like, I haven't made a dime off of streaming. I am very much in the hole because everything I get from stream goes right back in and then some. So, like, I haven't made money streaming. I think a lot of broadcasters would say they haven't made money streaming. I started off in the hole and still very much in the hole. But that's not why I do it. I do it for the fun and the community aspect of it. But I think it's 100%. Pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool that Twitch is like, you know what? Let's drop that down to 50.
Yeah, because for some people, like, it takes a few months in order to even get $100, right?
Oh yeah.
So some people are like, okay, this money that I earned like 3 months ago, I'd kind of like to have, instead of sitting in Twitch.
I agree.
So.
Yeah, I'm really glad that Twitch is doing it. I just don't understand why they're like rolling it out instead of like being like, okay, this policy now, and do it global. But I'm not the boss. I don't get paid to make decisions like that. But I think it's cool that they're doing that, and hopefully that gets rolled out to where it covers all the countries here really, really soon.
Yeah, and Xbox players will finally be able to use Discord from their console, which oh my god, I remember playing with some people on console, and in order to like talk to them with the crossplay thing, they'd have to like Discord on their phone or something. Then you can't really have a headset connected to the game, and it was a headache, right? So
I, as a predominantly PC streamer, like, or game player, like, I have a PlayStation 4, but it's kind of turned into a dinosaur. I was playing on it a little bit, but now since kind of gotten away from it. At any rate, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, I didn't even know you couldn't get on Discord via your Xbox.
Yeah,
I assume like they very like specifically said Xbox, so I assume if you have a PlayStation, this hasn't been an issue. Whereas I guess now Xbox is like, hey, we can get on there. Which did Microsoft ever buy Discord? I know that was a thing going around.
I don't think so, but I don't know. I could be. Maybe I'm wrong, because I do get codes for Game Pass through Discord. So
yeah, we'll have to.
I don't really keep up with all that. So
me neither. It's just something that randomly hit into my head. So maybe I don't know. If you play on a PlayStation, can you go on Discord through your console? Email us at gbbspodcast@gmail.com.
There you go.
So, you looking a little weak there, Nick. Have you been bit by a spider?
Spider-Man is coming to PC.
Spider-Man's coming to PC.
Man, I've wanted to play Spider-Man for quite a while now. PlayStation, I used to have a PlayStation for a little bit, PlayStation 4. I ended up getting rid of it because I didn't use it enough. I was always on the PC. Yep. And then, like, I've seen Spider-Man gameplay, and I'm like, man, that game looks so good. And people have talked about playing Spider-Man. Like, I want it on PC, and then I'll play. And then I was scrolling through Steam yesterday, and I seen Spider-Man plastered on the front page coming to PC, remastered and everything, I guess, with all the cool PC graphics and everything. And it's actually coming out on the 12th of August.
Is this like a single Spider-Man game, or is this like a Spider-Man franchise? Like, clue me in. What all does this include?
Well, it's like a single like Spider-Man game, basically. They have They have another one that came out for like PlayStation 5 as well, and that one's a newer one. I'm pretty sure this is the first one that came out on PlayStation 4 like 5-ish years ago. So
right, cool.
Pretty sure that's what that is.
Yeah.
But it looks really fun.
I don't think I've ever played a Spider-Man game. So
you get to slingshot your character, your Spider-Man, around like New York City, I think it is. It looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
heck yeah. Like I've watched all but the most recent Spider-Man movie, which is probably a crime because everyone's like, "Oh, Pearl Clutch, No Way Home is so good."
I haven't watched the Spider-Mans recently either, so I saw the game, and the game looks really fun. You get to swing around with Spider-Man.
Yeah. Who wouldn't love to do that, right? Like, Spider-Man's definitely up there in my ranking of superheroes.
So, oh yeah.
But that's pretty cool. But Going along with gaming news, No Man's Sky announces 20th major free update entitled Endurance. Command your own fleet of mega ships. Ships now have new functions added, including freighters having the capacity to grow food as well as manufacturing.
Ooh.
Yeah, No Man's Sky deep space is becoming ever more deeper with larger asteroid fields, black holes, and nebulae.
That's interesting.
This has always been a game I've always wanted to try out.
No Man's Sky is a game I bought on launch, and I will say the launch was a little rocky. You know, people didn't really get what they expected, you know, with the gameplay reveals and all that cool stuff. They basically promised some things that weren't delivered exactly. But I will say that game has really turned around. They've released so many updates for that game free. They're not DLCs or anything. It's all free updates. And that game is phenomenal now. And that's something I've been wanting to jump into. But
yeah, like I recall when upon release, a lot of my friends that started playing it out the gate started calling it One Man's Lie. And they were incredibly disappointed in it. But I know that they have been working their tails off on that game, and now it's supposed to be pretty good.
Yep.
And I have it, and it's definitely on my list to play one day. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's got base building, it's got survival aspects, and it's just got overall just exploring the universe.
Who doesn't want to, command your own fleet of ships? Like, that just sounds so cool, man.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Yeah, so Stray released on PC, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5 to, I think, a pretty resounding, like, this game is awesome type release.
This is the game I'm talking about.
Yeah, you play as a cat. Doesn't get any better with the dexterity of a feline. Explore a cyberpunk city with a unique four-legged point of view. And yeah, Nick, I think you might have.
I played this game the other day.
Around with this a little bit. Yeah.
I played it on launch day, which I don't do very often. I was talking. I'm like, okay, the game comes out tomorrow. I was talking about the day before it came out, and I'm like, do I get it or not? I'm like, I'm gonna sleep on it. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna see how I feel. I woke up and I looked. I'm like, I'm doing it. It said it was on sale like $3 off or something for like another 20 minutes. It said, screw it. I'm jumping in. I'm getting it. We're going to play through it. Something just fell, but we're going to continue on.
We had been talking about this game the night before release. And I had went to the dentist Tuesday. And I had asked Nick Monday night. I'm like, am I going to come home from the dentist and you're going to be playing as a kitty cat? And he was like, I don't know. I'm going to think about it. And then I get home and he's messaging me. I'm like, or no, I think I messaged you, said, hey, I'm watching someone play Stray. And you're like, well, stop, because I'm about to play it. I'm like, okay, let's go. So, yeah, what's your review of this lovely little furry game called Stray?
I wouldn't necessarily call myself like a huge cat person, okay? I mean, we had a cat as a family like many, many, many years ago. And it's never really crossed my mind like I want another cat. But I saw Stray, and I'm like, this looks like a really interesting game to play from a cat's perspective. And so it's kind of been hyped up a little bit. A lot of people have been talking about it, so I got it, and I played it, and boy, did it live up to expectations, I guess. It is so cool. You get to play as a cat and literally do cat things.
It's very unique.
Knock things off. Oh, very unique.
I'm sure there's another game out there, but I wouldn't say there are many games where you get the perspective of being, a four-legged, feline creature. So it's really, really cool.
It's very cool. You get to knock things off of shelves. You get to play on a piano or walk on it and make noises with it. It's a lot of cool things. I beat it in about 4.5 hours, a little bit on the short side. The average I've seen people is 5 to 6 hours. I guess I kind of went through it a bit on the quick side. It's all right. I still enjoyed every minute I played in that thing. If you're looking for some gameplay, I have it up on my YouTube, my second channel. It's called Nick and Wendy Let's Plays.
There you go.
And it's all in 1440p. Some of that good quality.
High quality entertainment right here, boys and girls.
And so that game is very, very fun. And it's only $30. So not even a full price game. Thumbs up from me.
I can't hear anything. I don't know why this is. Anyway, So yeah, thumbs up from you on that. Let's see. Assassin's Creed fans planning farewell parties ahead of multiplayer mode shutdowns. Kind of sad, but it's what Ubisoft. Although I think Ubisoft has backed up a little bit on this. I think they've kind of said if you have the DLC, you can still play it, but I don't think you're even gonna be able to buy the DLC after September 20 something.
We'll see what happens and stuff. I knew that I was hoping that they would kind of pull back a little bit after they, people talked about how crazy this was, but so we'll see what happens in September.
Yeah,
but it looks like multiplayer is definitely gone for all these games that they listed.
I kind of get where they're coming from with that. If it's a game that's, I don't know, 10 years old, and
they can see the amount of people playing it. They can see how many people are playing.
Right, like there's still people playing the multiplayer side, but it isn't doing the numbers to warrant, keeping a server up for it. I kind of get that. I don't understand where they're coming out of this. Like, we're no longer going to sell DLC, because you actually made a good point on that. How are they going to stop me from, what's it called, getting a torrent or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Of the game.
It's all going to be out there.
That's pretty valid point, and they can't even bitch about it because, hey, I wanted your DLC. Your DLC is no longer for sale, so I went and found a copy of it in the deep webs of the internet.
You need to go to the deep webs. It's on the surface of the internet for all this stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's an interesting take. I feel like they're losing out on some money for this.
Yeah. And I feel like leaving the DLC available, that's not hurting anything per se. Just put a level out, put a label out there, and, this is no longer multiplayer. Or maybe they, write some code and make it, co-op, host peer-to-peer or whatever.
Yeah, but that requires more work from them.
Yeah, like they don't, they're always worried about that bottom line. So, and that's probably, to be honest, that's probably why a lot of these servers or some of these old games are getting pulled offline, because they're like, oh, we're paying, X amount of dollars every month for this server, and like only 100 people are playing them anymore.
It makes sense. I get it from a business perspective. You want to, if it doesn't make sense, cut off the expense. So, but I don't know.
Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, it's kind of sucky that they're like, and you can't even buy the DLC anymore. And I want to say Steam pulled the sales of some of their DLCs as well, which was kind of interesting. But anyway, SCS revealed new cargo coming along with Montana that include things such as utility poles, circuit breakers, garbage trucks, silane gas. I don't know, some kind of tanker, a dumpster, waste paper, trees, and a beet harvester. So that sounds like a lot of
more
fun.
Cargo. Make it interesting while you're going down the road,
That's right.
Yeah. It's always cool, you pick up a cargo, you pull into the depot, and you see that trailer, and it's like, yeah.
I'm always down for new cargos. Like, yes, give me all the cargos. And that, like, this gas trailer, this garbage truck, and a beet harvester. That's pretty interesting, and makes me wonder, like, is there going to be, like, recycling centers and beet farms in Montana? Because
that would be so cool.
Apart from raising cattle, I have no idea what else they do in Montana, because that's definitely one of those states where I say, I want to move to somewhere that has more cows than people, and that one would definitely be on the list that has more cows than people, for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That kind of wraps up the news portion. As far as good deals go, you can pick up Shop Titans and Tannenberg World War I free right now until the 28th. I'm actually interested in that Tannenberg World War I. I think I'm actually going to pick that up.
Go for it.
Looks like
Check it out. It's a free game. You can't go wrong.
Free. You can't go wrong, right?
Exactly. Something on Steam that I saw today. Satisfactory's on sale, 40% off.
Hey.
We're into Factory games. I love Satisfactory. So.
Yes. I want to get a dedicated server and play that.
Oh, I'd be down. You got my attention on that.
Let's go. I think Bryant would play.
Oh, yeah. More than likely.
But yeah, I guess that wraps up the gaming news portion of the podcast. And now it's time to eat our vegetables and talk about the book.
Ooh. So this is the book, if you guys aren't aware from last podcast here. It's Such a Quiet Place by Megan Miranda. So if you are interested in reading or currently reading, shut your ears off. And
That's right.
There's going to be some spoilers.
Alert.
If you look in the info section, there will be timestamps to skip ahead to the next section. So it'll you can find out what time that is and skip forward.
Yep. There
if
you
you're
go.
watching live.
Final warning.
I'm sorry.
We're going to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. All right. Let's talk about it. Let's spoil it. Let's spoil
let's get right into it.
So, this book was about this quiet little neighborhood where a bunch of these, like, they're not necessarily old. They're rather young adults.
Like
that
20 to
live on
40s.
this-
Even,
that
even
like
20s to late 30s. I don't even think of
right. Yeah, they're fairly young folk. Living in this little subdivision or cul-de-sac or whatever, and the majority of them, like, it sits on a lake and they have a pool, and so it's pretty nice, but it isn't like McMansions or swanky. It's like maybe a step above a starter home. That's how I envisioned it. But it's set on a lake, and the weird thing, or not the weird thing, but like another thing is, the majority of them work at the college, which is on the lake across from where they all live.
Yeah, they all kind of work locally. They do things around the neighborhood, and
And they portray themselves as being very close knit. Like they have this neighborhood bulletin board that they post on a bunch and whatnot. And
it's a small community. They live close and they see each other every day. They kind of know their schedules, everybody's schedule, basically.
Right.
So.
And but all their world was flipped on top of its head when a husband and wife, Brandon and Fiona Truitt, right? I think it was Fiona. Were found dead in their home, and dun dun dun.
It's crazy.
The cause of the death turned out to be carbon monoxide poisoning. The Miss Fiona Truitt's car was left running in the garage, and I guess the door was left open to the house, so they were found dead.
It's a crazy way to go.
Dead. Yeah.
And what was also found was the carbon monoxide alarm was missing.
Yep.
So they thought somebody went in and did this.
Shenanigans are afoot.
Yeah, somebody went in, took the carbon monoxide alarm, went into the garage, started the car, and left the door open. So that's basically what they thought was going on.
Yeah. And another thing that happens is everyone has like security cameras, on their by their front porches and whatnot. So, everyone got on the old neighborhood bulletin board, shared all their information, and decided Ruby, who is this younger girl that lives with the main character, Harper. They decide that Ruby did it. She's the one that killed the Truitts, and she must be the one that has to go to jail. So they ended up, everyone testified against her except Harper. Harper testified for her, for the defense side. But they ended up finding Ruby guilty, and she was sentenced to, 20 years?
20 years.
Yeah, 20 years for committing these murders. However, 14 months later, she was released.
Yep.
The verdict was thrown out due to some technicalities. So Harper's in her kitchen one day tossing around some fruit salad when Ruby walks through the door. And then what happens, Nick?
Well, they were kind of... I would like to say Harper was kind of on edge, like not really knowing what to think.
They were frigid.
Yeah, was Ruby the person that did this? Like, even Harper wasn't really sure at the time. Mm-hmm. She was like, okay, I don't think she did it, but I still don't know. So they kind of went on about their lives while Harper was kind of going through and still trying to figure out what exactly happened. Mm-hmm. And I want to say Ruby was doing the same thing at the same time. She was also trying to figure out what was going on in this neighborhood that caused these deaths, because we don't know if she did or not. Like, I think Harper was thinking that she was kind of sneaking around and all this stuff. So, God, I'm so bad at like talking about what happened in the book. I know bits and pieces.
When Ruby came back, she was very candid and upfront and acting like, as if nothing the last 14 months didn't happen. Whereas everyone else in the neighborhood, Pearl Clutch, Ruby's back. Why is she back here? What does she want, And they even go to the pool, and, there's a Preston who lives in the neighborhood. He's like low key, like he's laying by the pool when Harper and Ruby get there, but he's like low key, has his eye on her, and I think they even like suspected him of snapping a photo or something like that. But I guess the neighborhood HOA president, or some highfalutin hoity-toity bitch came up to Harper and said, basically, get rid of her. She's not welcome here. We know she did it, therefore she's got to go. And it's only a matter of time before she gets reconvicted anyway, which I find interesting. I want to speak on that for a second, because here in America, we have a thing called double jeopardy, which means if you have been convicted of a crime and, for whatever reason you get, released or, it's dropped, you cannot be tried for that crime again. Mm-hmm. You can then say, if you were found not guilty of killing Bob, you could literally walk out those walk out the courthouse steps and in front of God and everyone say, I killed Bob and I got away with it, and they cannot try you again. They'll come after your money, but they can no longer put you in jail. Right. So I was kind of interested in how they were exactly going to retry Ruby for this case. But at any rate...
No idea.
They restarted Neighborhood Watch, and it's close to the July 4th weekend, mm-hmm. and the neighborhood's getting ready to throw another July 4th party. And Charlotte, Little Miss Hoity-Toity, is trying everything she can to keep Ruby from coming, but
Charlotte. So Charlotte was always up Harper's butt, basically saying, Ruby needs to go. Get rid of Ruby. And it's like, whoa. This I found interesting too from the start. I'm like, geez, what is with Charlotte like?
What is with Charlotte, indeed?
Oh my gosh, she's really going after Harper to get rid of Ruby, and the other people in the town were kind of on edge, but they weren't like Charlotte going get rid of Ruby right now.
More or less, everyone else in the neighborhood was just curious. Why is Ruby back? It seems she's back. What's she saying? Da 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 da. But pretty much Charlotte is the only one that was pushing more. She's got to go. She's got to leave. She's got to leave right now, And one theory I was working on there for a little while was Charlotte has 2 daughters. And I apologize for the dogs. But Charlotte has 2 daughters, and I started wondering, did one of Charlotte's commit this murder? And therefore, she was trying to pin it on Ruby. And that's why she don't want Ruby hanging back around. Maybe the real truth will come out. Mm-hmm. But oh, and Harper was getting notes too. Like I think they said, we see you," and
Yeah, exactly.
and like really creepy notes like that. And is Ruby sending
Slipped through the
these
front
notes?
door, left inside the
Yeah.
house, you know. So it
Yeah,
was
like slipped under the door or through a mail slot, and
yeah.
Harper would walk in, and in the walk-in area there'd be this note, and it had a picture as well. But yeah, it was kind of Charlotte wanting to get rid of Ruby and everyone else just being a little overly curious why Ruby is back until the July 4th party at the pool. Then what happened, Nick?
Well, what happened was first Ruby showed up at the party after everybody else was already there.
Yep.
And Charlotte kind of said to Harper before the party started that she was going to ignore Ruby. She's going to ignore, not even acknowledge that she's at the party, basically. But Harper went on and with the party. So Ruby shows up, and a fight actually ended up happening, like an argument between, I think it was between the three, Harper, Ruby, and Mac. I think was also involved a little bit in this.
Mac is was Ruby's boyfriend, but then started giving it to Harper after Ruby landed in prison.
Yeah. That's how that relationship went. Which I'm sure you could see that's a little bit awkward, but anyhow,
Yeah.
So a big argument, happens, and, they were kind of yelling at each other in the middle of this party, and then Ruby went off to cool down, and Mac went after her.
She went off on everyone as well. Like, she was pretty much telling them, she maintained her innocence and that they were all guilty.
Yeah.
That was one thing she kept saying was, I am the only innocent person here. You're all guilty,
Right.
Which was interesting.
And so she kind of went off, and I think at one point Ruby's and Harper's drink cups got swapped.
Yep.
So then Harper went and, I think she cleaned out her cup and poured herself a new drink and all that. And then Harper left early to go back home. She kind of left a little bit early because she's like, I kind of had enough of this party. I'm going to go home and, relax. And then...
As much of a party as it was a drama scene.
Yeah, basically. So then a little bit later... I think it was Margot, right? That came running.
Margot.
Yeah. She came running
Margot was on Neighborhood Watcher, I think.
Yeah, she was doing the neighborhood watch that night. She came running to Harper's door and basically couldn't even say many words, just kind of said, Ruby, pool. So
Ruby, pool.
Yeah, so Harper went running to the pool to see that Ruby was laying in the pool, not breathing. So...
Yeah, she did.
She ended up dying that night.
She was real dead. Ruby was really, really dead.
Yeah, and so this kind of went okay, we have another murderer, basically. So
basically, I think Harper from that point was saying, "Holy cow, Ruby was right. There aren't two murderers. Ruby never did commit the first set of, she didn't kill the Truitts. That the real murderer is amongst them, and they just struck again, killing Ruby."
Yeah. And I think the next day, an investigation was started by an actual agent. So it wasn't taken on by Chase, which was the police officer at the time during the other investigation. So
yeah, we're skimming over this. We're giving you kind of our Cliff's Notes version, but was his name Chase. He lives in the neighborhood, and he's a police officer. But he kind of made it a point, everyone, when the Truitts were murdered, to keep it simple. We put together Ruby's timeline, therefore we knew she did it. So that kind of is led to the way that Ruby ultimately was convicted. Was they the town came to, or their little neighborhood came together, put on their little sleuth's hat, thinking they're Sherlock Holmes, and they all testified that Ruby did it, apart from Harper.
Yeah.
But there was some fishy stuff there because Chase ended up getting suspended indefinitely while they were doing an internal investigation. Therefore, he wasn't working this new case of Ruby's murder, but it's not for lack of trying. He was certainly trying to get in there and dig up the story. And
He was nosy and all that. So
yeah,
but so we got a whole kind of story spin right here when she died, and now there's an investigation going on, and Harper went on like overdrive trying to figure out who this person was. So she was trying to uncover it herself too. I don't think she was giving like all the information she could have to the agent, but she kind of showed, hey, I got a video here, but it doesn't record, so it can't really give you much there.
I think Harper was afraid that the town was now going to turn against her and frame her for killing the Truitts and Ruby, because they were painting so when Brandon was a bigwig at the college, and when he died or when he was murdered, Harper took his job over, so the town was all the neighborhood is already kind of like whispering. And not to mention the fact that, these notes that Harper keeps receiving, I see you, you made a mistake, and whatnot. It has a picture of Harper, running through the woods, holding this keychain, which coincidentally had a key, on the keychain that was to the Truitt's house.
Yeah.
So, more or less, I think in Harper's mind, it felt like the neighborhood was turning against her. They framed Ruby, now they're going to frame her for this.
Yeah, so that's actually something that wasn't told to the agent was the fight that happened before Ruby's death. Nobody said anything about that. And Harper sure as hell wasn't going to say anything, because then that would make her look even more guilty. So, and then after that, my mind kind of draws some gaps.
Well, there was one thing I found curious around this point. It says that the Truitts died or were murdered, and they were in their bed facing each other. But Ruby was younger than everyone else for the most part, so she did odd chores for the neighborhood. She'd walk their dog, she'd get their mail while they're on vacation, stuff like that. And Ruby told Harper that the Truitts don't even sleep in the same bed together. They sleep in separate bedrooms. So when that was paired up with a piece of information that said that they died in the bed with each other, is what kind of made me go,
yeah,
that isn't quite right. And that's when I started theorizing, like, maybe that they lost big on the stock market, and they were going to lose everything, and they couldn't stand it, so therefore they committed suicide. Like, that's where my mind was going.
Right. Yeah, that was definitely interesting. And we still had this problem with the missing carbon monoxide alarm, which was if you think about it, what kind of timing would that be, right? Missing carbon monoxide alarm and two dead people in the house.
How convenient. Due to carbon monoxide poisoning.
Yeah.
One could deduce that the murderer took it, but the whole thing behind freaking Truitt's murder wasn't a murder at all. It was an accident. And the way they figured that out was Brandon Truitt had ordered a carbon monoxide detector, and it was accidentally shipped to the school. And Harper never opened the box because it arrived after his death. But when she did open it and realized, oh, it's a carbon monoxide detector, it kind of clicked that, oh, he must have been replacing their old carbon monoxide detector. And for what... I really enjoyed this book. I just feel like the ending was rushed a little bit because like a lot of information came together kind of all at once, right?
Yeah, in the last like probably 2 chapters, I'd like to say, is like everything kind of just boiled together and spilled over the pot. So
yeah, so it wasn't like suicide. The author wrote it up as Brandon and Fiona had an argument, and Fiona was getting ready to leave, but then I guess Brandon talked her back into, going back in the house, and I don't know, they were arguing or something about like in the bedroom, didn't realize that the car was still on and the door to the garage was open.
yeah.
The door from the garage to the house was open, like the garage door was still closed, so they were dying to a slow and silent death, and I guess they ended up passing out on the bed or something. I don't know. I kind of like my theory of, they figured out they were screwed, so therefore they committed suicide. I felt that would fit a little bit better. But, yeah, the only murder that really took place was the murder of Ruby.
And the agent tossed it up saying it was poison that killed her. So now we really know that somebody poisoned Ruby's drink. Because
a lot of the neighbors were thinking it could have been alcohol poisoning because she had been drinking like a fish.
Right.
But it was actually, what was it, antifreeze?
Antifreeze, yeah. So that's one thing. That's one way to, do it. At a party is throw antifreeze apparently into a drink.
Yeah.
I guess if you're drunk enough, you don't taste it.
Apparently, like, I know dogs love it. Like, if you leave it out, a dog will drink it and the dog will die. But, yeah, someone put that in a cup, and I still can't figure out to this day if that cup was meant for Harper or Ruby. But, Ruby's the one that drank it.
Yeah, so that's why I mentioned the cup swapping. So, like, the cups did get swapped. So Harper is kind of thinking, was that meant for me? Mm-hmm. And so she's kind of wary about this. So she really wanted to figure out what the hell's going on here. And actually in the Truett house, she went into the Truett house and found a sleeping bag and all that in there and a notebook that was Ruby's. Mm-hmm. Yep. And Ruby was in there taking notes of the whole neighborhood, basically. It's like,
yeah, she was like
watching everybody.
Writing down where where everyone went, where everyone walked.
Yeah. And then while she was in there figuring all that out,
Harper was in the Truett house. Yeah,
Harper in the Truett house. While she was in there, Charlotte walks in. And Charlotte was like, what are you doing in here? And God, what exactly all happened? Like, she kind of like walked Harper up against like the door and stuff, and was saying a bunch of stuff to her. And God, why is my mind skip on so many details? Well, like, I know the gist of what happened.
No, so. It was convoluted. Like, that was one of my things with the ending, was it was a little bit like, whoa. All of a sudden, the protagonist knows all this stuff. But it come out to be that Charlotte said it in front of Harper and everyone that, she put antifreeze in Ruby's cup, that it was no great loss. And then Harper's like, you're the only murderer here. The Truetts wasn't even a murder now. That was just an accident, a horrible tragedy. And, Charlotte's like, oh, you can't tell no one, ba-ba-da-ba-da. And then Harper runs out the door, and Harper's neighbors, like, one of Harper's neighbors holds a gun to both of them, and that was a big to-do. But I guess long story short, to kind of wrap this book up, was Charlotte, the hoity-toity bitch, is the only murderer in this story. Like, They thought, the neighborhood thought they were smarter than the average bear, but it just turned out that no, they turned a horrible tragedy and made it even worse by, pinning it on an innocent person. And then Charlotte really committed a horrible tragedy and ended up murdering that innocent person.
Exactly. So, moral of the story, Such a Quiet Place. It's basically talking about, such a close-knit community, but they don't talk face to face. They just talk a lot behind backs and nothing.
Yeah, and they all have secrets to hide.
Yeah, a lot of secrets to hide. Yeah,
they thought they knew each other, but in the end, they didn't really. They realized that they didn't know each other hardly at all.
Exactly. Very interesting book. So.
But yeah, I'd give it like a solid 4 out of 5. I'd recommend it. It was a good book.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
And yeah, I guess without further ado, we can move on to the BS.
Well, we got to talk first about what we're going to read next, which is Educated by Tara Westover. It's basically it's so we've done kind of 2 whodunits, with the sanatorium and now Such a Quiet Place. We're going to switch. I wanted to switch the gears up a little bit, and I picked Educated by Tara Westover. It's basically about a small family that didn't necessarily believe in educating their kids, and one of them ends up leaving. I think joins the military and gets goes to college, while his younger sister kind of teaches herself. And I don't know, it's supposed to be like a coming of age tale. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited.
Yeah, and like you said, not another whodunit, because we've done 2 books, and actually I was almost thinking of doing The Retreat, which is the sequel to the Sanatorium, which is another Elin, whatever her last name is, the main character in the Sanatorium.
Yeah.
Basically another book from her perspective.
I'm sure we'll get to it.
We will get to it. But yeah, we're going to switch it up a little bit and do a different style book.
Yeah.
So,
I think it'll be nice and refreshing.
Yeah, for sure. But the BS. The goddamn BS. What the heck is going on?
Let your hair down and let's just talk.
Oh, how do I...
There, I'll do it for both of us.
Yeah.
My hair's a mess. I was fighting my hair before the podcast. I'm like, God, why don't you do what I want you to do? It's really freaking humid outside. And so when it's really freaking humid outside, there's not enough hairspray in the world to get my hair to do what I want it to do.
I see. I guess
what you been up to there, Nick?
What I'd like to talk about coming out of the book section is talking a little bit more about books.
All right.
I've been reading the Percy Jackson books on the side, and kind of doing more reading on that regard. So I'm doing the original Percy Jackson series right now.
That's really cool.
Such cool books,
so you're reading.
What's it called?
You're doing more than your required reading. Oh, he's growing up.
I love books. Just it's prioritizing reading them over certain other things too, right? So
it's tough.
Finally getting around to the Percy Jackson series, and those things are so cool. The Roman and Greek gods and all that, mythology stuff, right?
I've always loved Greek mythology.
Oh, it's so good, and I'm on the 3rd book right now, halfway through the 3rd book. So last podcast I was actually about not even halfway through the 2nd book, so I've been kind of speeding through those books pretty good. So those are so cool. And what's making me even more excited that I just learned the other day is that they're making a TV series for the Percy Jackson books.
Yeah.
And each book is going to be one whole season. And I'm friggin' excited. I think they're going to come out next year. I think it's going to start. So
yes.
2023. And
should be good. That's going to be on Netflix, right?
That one's going to be on Disney. There's another there's another series from the same author on the Egyptian mythology, which is going to be a movie series on Netflix.
Ooh. Okay. So that sounds really interesting and good.
Yeah, and that set is from the Kane Chronicles series in his books. So
hell yeah.
And
I've never read Percy Jackson, but I would probably enjoy them.
Yeah, you probably would. Definitely a fun read, and it really is there's some funny parts in it, and it's definitely an overall good read. And when I was reading it, I remember telling myself, I'm like, this would be so good in a TV series, and I could picture myself a TV series. And then I'm like, you know what? They've done a couple movies in the past. They didn't turn out all that great. I'm not gonna lie.
They weren't supported financially either.
Yeah.
They didn't. Percy didn't get the Harry Potter budget,
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
So now, they actually come out. They're doing a TV series. The author of these books is the director, the producer, the script writer. He's everything, right? So,
which is a really good thing.
Really good thing. So I got high hopes for this series, and it's funded by Disney. So
Disney money, honey. It's gonna be good.
It's gonna be a good one.
If you're using Mickey Mouse's credit card, there is no cap on that. They're like,
exactly. And
I'm gonna spend another $1 million real quick.
So what happened with the movie series actually was the author Rick got kind of pulled out of the series for one reason or another. I didn't really read up enough about that to figure out what happened, but he became not existent in the whole production part. He already made a promise. He said that's not happening this time around. He's not even writing any more big books anymore. He's kind of pulling back from the series, and he's pouring all into this TV series right now.
So no need to write when you have Disney money. Just go produce for the little mouse, and you've got it made.
Yeah. So excited. I'm probably gonna read the books again, each book while going through the series again. So
I've read Harry Potter 1 through 5. I don't know, probably 7 times, and then I've read 1 through 7 at least 4 times. So yeah, and I feel like I know Peter Jackson. He's not wizardy or anything like that, right? But it's more to do with mythology. But that's one of the things I loved about J.K. Rowling, being a Potterhead, being a fan of the Harry Potter universe. J.K. Rowling depended on a lot of mythology to write Harry, and so it's a really cool way to draw.
It's got a lot of magic and all that cool stuff in it, right? Mm-hmm. So the gods and all that. So it's gonna be awesome. A lot of magic, a lot of interesting creatures and everything. So yeah, I'd like to see how it turns out. So that's kind of
it's like I said, it's Disney. It's going to be good. But yeah, I haven't been streaming. Literally the last stream I did was podcast of GBBS, Games, Books, and BS episode 3, because I kind of hurt my foot. And
oh man,
I know it's getting better, but there for a good week and a half, I couldn't sit up long. It would just start swelling and throbbing and hurt a lot.
Nobody wants to stream while you're in pain.
No,
it's not fun.
I always try to hold myself to a higher standard when I hit that streaming button, and I want to make sure I'm at the best I can be and put on a good show. And, with a foot that's aching, that feels like it's, the size of Texas, that just wasn't happening. But,
yeah, I totally feel that.
It's feeling better. It doesn't swell as much. So, yeah, planning on doing some streaming tomorrow. And some more over the weekend. Nice.
But what have you been watching? We just talked about watching some shows. So what have you been watching? What have you been into? What's going on in that world there?
I still have a few seasons of Parks and Rec to get through, but I've kind of shelved it because I got into the Yellowstone world. I started off watching 1883, which tells the beginning story, the origins of the Dutton family and how they ended up moving from Tennessee to Montana, back in the late 1800s. Beautifully written, wonderfully cast, great, phenomenal story, 1883. But I wouldn't I'm glad I watched it. I don't feel the need to watch it again because it's perfect for the period, for the late 19th century rather, because people died and it was hard, and they basically were doing the Oregon Trail, wanting to get from Tennessee to Oregon, but they ended up settling in Montana. I'm not going to say why, because spoilers, but...
Right, yeah. No spoilers around here, okay? Don't worry.
Yeah,
We're just talking about what we're watching. No spoilers.
Spoil the book, but we're not going to spoil what we watch, you know.
So.
We do have some dignity around here. But, 1883 was really good, and I just finished the last episode of Yellowstone earlier this week, and that show is phenomenal. It's gonna... I don't judge a whole series until it's done and dusted and I've seen the last episode, but it's gonna be... I already know it's gonna be pretty high. But
right.
It's basically the story of John Dutton, played by Kevin Costner, has, like, God, a stupid amount of land at this ranch near the Yellowstone Park. It's called Yellowstone. It doesn't really have anything to do with the park per se, other than the fact that that's the name of John Dutton's ranch, is the Yellowstone Ranch, and it's literally butted up against the Yellowstone Park.
Right.
And it's basically John Dutton and his family fighting progress, and the fact that, you know how companies and corporations these days, they will move into an area, develop it, raise the property taxes to the point where the people that have been living there for their whole lives can't afford to live there anymore. So then they end up, you know, having to sell. And John Dutton is trying to stop that from happening.
Right.
So I would relate it to that wonderful show from the 80s, Dallas. You know, Who Shot JR? It's very captivating and riveting in a way that Dallas was back in
the way you talk about it, like, I don't watch Western style, old school types of shows, movies. I haven't really been into that category. The way you talk about the show, it's like, man, do I gotta watch this show? And it's like, yeah.
So it is the Cowboys, but it's Cowboy of the 21st century, and they are some badasses.
So it is definitely interesting.
You know, let's just say you don't want to go to the train station, and that's all I'm gonna say. But yeah,
I personally, so last episode I was still on Chicago Med, finishing that up. So I wrapped up that show. Up to date with where it's at now, and I will say it's left on a cliffhanger. Of course. So I'm kind of waiting around until they start up in September with the next season. But yeah, that's a really fun and good hospital show. If you're into that, definitely recommend it. Especially if you watch like Grey's Anatomy or something, or ER. Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna have to watch it because I love
that.
I love Grey's Anatomy until it just got samey. You know, they're all sleeping with each other. That's all you know about Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
They get happy, and then someone dies, and then they start screwing the next person that walks through the door.
Understandable. I mean, I guess hospitals.
Been watching?
So that pulled me into what I was going to say is I've been watching Ozark, and I'm on the 3rd season now out of 4. Yes, that show is really good. Really good. And so far, and you've even talked about the 3rd and 4th season being even the best, so I'm excited to finish up that show. Hopefully by next podcast I'll be done. And yeah, so if you're looking for something that's Breaking Bad style, you know, it's about laundering money, and
if you want,
got some cartel in there, and
if you want a really good, you know, story that is finished that you can binge, Ozark 100%.
Yeah, it's
can't go wrong.
It's phenomenal, and I'm just excited to finish it and see these last 2 seasons, and then after that. My next one on the list is going to be Stranger Things, which everybody's heard about, which is a good one, and I have not watched, so I'm going to be finally starting that up.
I think we have talked about maybe watching that one like at the same time, because I watched the 1st season and I barely remember anything about it, and I watched the 1st episode of the 2nd season, and I enjoy it. I just never finished it. You know, I'm really weird about that. I started watching MASH a couple years ago, and I got to the last season, and I didn't finish it. I have a really bad habit of doing that with series. Like, I'm on season 6 of Friends, and I just stopped. because I don't want it to end. Like, it's so good. I don't, like, once I watch this last season, it's over. To where, like, in my mind, well, if I don't watch that last season, it's still going on. You know, I still have fresh content to go turn to and watch. But it's a bad habit. I don't recommend it. But, yeah, I think it could be cool if we kind of watched Stranger Things. You know,
oh, yeah, that would be really cool. 100%. Like, we can kind of talk about it at the same time and figure out where we are, kind of like how we've been doing with the book. And yeah, so if there's a show out there that you are really into and you like watching, tell us what you like watching and why. And
tweet us at Nickinator 15.
Yeah, Nickinator 15.
At Nickinator 15 at BravoChick 10, or email us at gbbspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, tell us. We want to hear what you guys are up to in your lives.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I guess next thing I'd like to ask you is what your quote of the podcast is.
Oh yeah. I didn't even look to see if we had any mail. But yeah, it's a quote time. It's like a new section of the podcast. This second.
This is the second thing.
My quote this episode is: love many, trust few, learn to paddle your own canoe. It's cute, it's whimsical, it's tongue-in-cheek, but I think it wraps up life pretty good, you know? Love as much as you can. Don't trust everyone that crosses your path, you know? And learn to paddle your own canoe, because no one is going to do it for you. Basically,
that's saying, pretty true, yeah.
You know, you gotta paddle the river they called life on your own, you know, and that stems back to my my mantra of the past 6 months is happiness really does come from within.
Yeah, you were saying, yeah. And
what's your quote there, Nick?
My quote is a little bit interesting. People are gonna be like, "Well, that's a little harsh, don't you think?" I'm gonna say, "Yeah, it kind of is," but if you really think about it deep down, it kind of makes sense, and it goes as follows: depression is your body saying, "Fuck you, I don't want to be this character anymore." And that's a quote by Jim Carrey. And
that's
so
deep.
Yeah, it kind of hits, and I get it. You know, they talk about how depression is the chemicals inside your brain, blah blah blah. You know, it's a misbalance, basically, right?
Right.
But there is a lot of truth ring into that, and it's kind of saying, hey, something's not right here with your character. You need to do something about this. And if you can find something to change up, basically, to switch up a little bit, it doesn't have to be your whole character, right? Just a like a quality or something that you'd like to change, and it makes a difference in a positive perspective. Yep. Then that helps, right? That helps changing your character for the better. Even if it's a temporary thing, right? Just think, if you do something and it temporarily change, like, helps you, that's at least better than nothing.
Yeah, that's a good step forward. And, I think doing what makes you happy, being a little bit selfish and doing whatever it takes to make you happy, and not letting those who have brung you down in the past not to give them that power anymore. Basically.
So yeah, I thought that was a hard-hitting quote, but
yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
So a unique question for this week's for episode 4 is all right, Nick, you've got a time capsule, and you're putting stuff in there. You're putting 4 things in there to tell the people of 2122 about you, and then you're going to bury it, and it's going to be opened in 100 years. So what are you putting in? That's a long time.
This was hard for me.
22 is 100 years from now. That's whoa. 100 years ago was 1922.
All right.
That feels like that wasn't that long ago, but 2122 feels like is way in the future. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
But what are you putting in your time capsule? Tell the future about you.
You kind of helped me with the first one here. Coffee cup. I thought that was like, you know what? That kind of tells me, or tells people a little bit about me. I like my coffee.
Like your coffee.
So put a coffee cup in there. Say, hey, here you goes. And I just realized I only got 3 items on here.
Oh.
It's okay. It's okay. Another thing.
Item is...
First, okay.
Oh, so, okay.
Oh, no. This makes sense.
Yeah.
Alternate it. Yeah, this makes sense.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So my first thing I'm putting in my time capsule is a Braves hat, because I am a huge Atlanta Braves fan. I've got this, there's stuff on everything around my room here. See, look.
Her name online, Bravo Chick.
Yeah, literally,
or like Brian likes to say, the AI text-to-speech guy, Bravo Chick.
Bravo Chick. So. And it literally does stem from the baseball team because Braves fans are called Bravos. So yeah. So what's the next item you're putting in your time capsule there, Nick?
Would be a little bit of George's shedded skin. I think would be really neat. Kind of shows, my little bit of snake love and.
Yeah, you were into reptiles and such.
Yeah, so I thought that would be something to throw in there, and who knows if it lasts 100 years? I don't know. I
have no clue. Like I don't know what the biodegradation process of a snake skin is.
We'll call this a preserved time capsule.
Snakes. There you go. Yeah. Maybe you stuck it in a vial of fluid to keep it fresh or something like that.
So yeah, that's my second. I guess. What's yours?
That's really interesting too. My second would be once again baseball themed. It would be Hank Aaron's biography because it is signed by him, and I consider it the most valuable thing I own. And I'm sure I could get a pretty penny for his autograph biography, but to me it's priceless because he was the greatest Brave to ever live, the true home run king of baseball. And he just had a fascinating story because when he started baseball, he played in the Negro League. Like, I hate saying that word, but it was the thing where, they weren't letting African Americans play baseball. So, but then introduced, Jackie Robinson, was playing for the Brooklyn Dodgers. That opened the door. I always say that Jackie Robinson cut the trail or blazed the trail, but people like Hank Aaron and Willie Mays, they paved it because they were two incredibly amazing players. Some of the records Hank Aaron still owns, like technically his home run record of 755 has been broken, but the only way it was broken is because Alex Rodriguez decided to do some steroids, so therefore he don't count. Ooh. But yeah, I would put a Hank Aaron spot.
Listen to this. What's your sports girl over here, guys? Two things already in there. Sports.
I can talk baseball.
Yeah.
All day long.
There you go.
But yeah. What's the next thing you're putting in your time capsule?
Something a little bit interesting. I'm gonna put in a Dutch Canadian shirt. So it goes like, I got a shirt that basically says Canadian grown with Dutch roots, which
that is so cool.
Is really cool shirt. And because I am born in Canada, but my dad is from the Netherlands, so I feel like that is
really cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool shirt, and it's got like I would have grabbed it for the podcast, but it's okay. It's like a tree. It shows like a tree with the Canadian like colors on the tree, and then the roots are like the Dutch flag and stuff.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
My dad was Dutch too. Who knows? Maybe we have the same ancestors.
Maybe.
It's like I know everything about my mother's side of the family. I don't know a daggum thing about my dad's side.
I mean, the Netherlands is a pretty small country, so.
This is true.
Yeah. So what do you got going on next in your time capsule?
My third thing I'm putting in my time capsule is my journal, because I'm a nerd and I journal. It's not a diary. They're different.
They are different. They are.
So, I would put my journal in there.
Interesting.
What's the fourth thing you're going to put in yours, Nick? Because I don't see it here on the script.
I kind of thought of something, but anyhow,
okay.
Journal is something I kind of would be interested in like doing at one point, but I feel like I'm still too young. Things are going too fast for me,
I started journaling when I started streaming because someone heavily recommended it. And I would say the same thing. It's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
If you're doing any kind of content creating.
Interesting. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. But my fourth thing, I think, would have to be a Stephen King book. I'm not entirely sure on what Stephen King book I would like to put in there because I haven't read enough. I just know I like Stephen King's writing style, and it's actually kind of what re-sprouted my love for books was reading Misery.
Yes.
And that was a phenomenal book, which I recommend. Even if you've
Misery.
Even if
Read
you've seen the movie.
And then and then like the movie like I still think the book is better, but the movie's damn good.
Oh yeah, the movie's
Kathy Bates is phenomenal.
Yeah. So the book was definitely a really fun one and a very good, very well written. And I think Stephen King does that a lot too with many of his books. I read Billy Summers, which is a recent one, and that book was really good as well. Like, it was a page turner for sure. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to keep reading this right now. And so I'd definitely put a Stephen King book in. I would have to read a few more in order to, I think, judge what I want to put in there. But I think right now,
when you figure out whatever your favorite Stephen King novel is, that's
like, it might be Misery right now, but like, gosh, Billy Summers is so good too. So
for me, it would be 11/22/63,
which I haven't read yet.
Yeah, but basically the premise of it is a guy goes back in time to save John F. Kennedy from getting shot. But
yeah, which is
such a good book, but it's like that thick, you know, like it's.
I got it right here.
It's a big one, yeah. But it's such a good book.
It's freaking.
And it's a miniseries on Hulu as well, where James Franco plays the main character.
There you go.
Which I don't like. I want to watch it. But I don't know if we're going to reread this or not, because I told Nick I would be down to reread it because it's so big. Like, I pretty much know the gist of the story, but I would love to reread it just for the fact that I know there's going to be stuff in there that I completely forgot.
Oh, it's like I've rewatched things and, you kind of learn or see things that you didn't see before because maybe you were too focused on something else in there and you didn't see another detail.
It's like I said, I've reread Harry 7+ times or whatever, and every time I'm always like, I had forgotten about that, and it's like, yeah, I feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And then it never happens. When I finish the 7th book, I cry because I'm like, I don't want it to end, and I love this world so much.
Another series I would love to read is Harry Potter, which I will get around to one of these days. Harry is my love for books. But yeah, my fourth thing I'm putting in my time capsule is my gaming wheel. Because, it's like, I've got something about baseball, and I've got, a book in there, and I've got a journal in there, and I'm like, well, I need something to represent my gaming. So it's like, I'm going to throw my wheel in there, because who knows what gaming wheels will be like 100 years from now, even if they're a thing at all. Who knows? Oh, yeah, very
Who freaking knows what a video game is going to be like in 100 years?
Someone's going to open the capsule and go, what the hell is that thing?
Yeah, they're going to be like, what is this?
What's a wheel? They're not going to have that in cars anymore, right?
That's going to be like they probably even have cars. It's probably going to be all, Elon Musk is going to hack into all our brains, and it's just going to be, I don't know what the next, 21, 22 looks like.
Oh my gosh.
I will not be here to see it, and I'm kind of glad. I don't regret not knowing what's going to be around in 21, 22, but if you're listening to this podcast in 21, 22,
oh my gosh,
maybe reach out to someone in my family and tell them that you listen to their great aunt's podcast, and they were talking about things in a hypothetical time capsule, and you can be like, what the hell is a gaming wheel?
Yeah, exactly. Who knows, right?
So this next segment I'm really excited about, but we were going to do it last episode, but you were like, no, I'm
gotta
not
expose
ready.
Me?
Exposed. But we're going to do a lie and a truth, which is it's kind of a condensed version of what is it?
2 truths and a lie.
Two truths and a lie, where
Yeah.
we're just cutting one of the truths out.
Yeah.
So a lie and a truth. All right. So do we want to go back and forth on this again? Like you'll say one, I'll say one, and you say one, and I'll say one. Or you want me to go first?
You go first, both of them.
All right. I have been on a billboard.
Okay. You've been on a billboard. Mm-hmm. Could be true. Could be a lie. Never know.
I wonder.
What's your next?
No, what? No, you go.
Oh, okay. I used to have 3 snakes.
Okay. My second one is I tried out for American Idol.
What?
If this is audio only for you, Nick is like
Yeah,
puzzled right now.
yeah.
He's like, what?
Okay.
So what's your second one?
I'm 6'2".
You're 6'2". So yours is you've had 3 snakes, and you're 6'2".
Yeah.
Okay.
And yours is you've been on a billboard and you've auditioned for American Idol.
Yeah.
Which, based on how much you karaoke, that's not out of the question.
Yeah.
That's not out of the question, but
I wonder.
how would I have not heard of one of these from you so far? That's what? Billboard. God, what am I gonna go with here?
I don't know. What are you gonna go with?
Billboard or American? That's a hard one. You have me stumped right now. I'm gonna say that the truth is you've auditioned for American Idol, and the lie was that you're on a billboard.
Okay. I'm gonna say. Well, I'll say you're taller than 6'2", so I'm gonna say that that's the lie, and that you've had 3 snakes.
Okay.
Okay, so I have never, ever tried out for American Idol,
So close.
but
so
I
close.
was on a billboard
Interesting.
in the greater metro Atlanta area. Yeah, so there's this foundation called March of Dimes for kids that were born with spina bifida, which I have spina bifida. I'm really lucky because, most kids born around, the time I was, usually you were, paralyzed. You didn't really walk, you were in a wheelchair. But I got really lucky. I walk. And when I was in first grade, a teacher nominated me to represent Southeast Atlanta for the March of Dimes. So I ended up being representative for the March of Dimes, and there was all these other kids represented, and they ended up putting taking all our pictures together and plastering us on billboards all around Atlanta.
Wow.
So yeah, little first grade Bravo was on a billboard.
God damn. That's crazy.
There you go. The more you know.
So I was wrong. I lost. Because
You lost. Yes.
I am indeed not 6'2". I'm 6'3".
I thought you were taller than that. I'm like,
That's by an inch, very, very close. Because I don't know, I figured, okay, whatever. But yeah, I did have 3 snakes at one point before I moved.
All at one time?
One time.
Okay.
So I had another ball python and I had a milk snake. So
what happened to them when you moved? Did you?
I had to downsize. All right. No.
Yeah.
Don't set them free. I just sold them off. So.
Okay. Cool.
Put them in a better home.
Snakes aren't quite like dogs. When I hear people of, we gotta move, so we gotta get rid of our dog, it kind of pisses me off. But I feel like a snake, they don't really care that much.
They don't get attached. They don't get attached.
Yeah, they
right?
don't. They don't really care.
It was more like, oh man, I gotta, let my snake off to a better home.
It's harder on you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because snakes again, they don't get attached. They don't have any attachment like part of their brain, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
they don't have that.
Is there like, as someone who deals with snake phobias, so I don't know a lot about snakes because I'm terrified of them, which Nick's snake George, the unofficial mascot of our podcast. We're gonna have to bring him on sometime. He's kind of helped me. Like I'm better than I used to be. So we'll say that.
There you go.
But is that kind of the characteristic of a snake? Is it like kill or be killed? Is that kind of like how they're set up in life?
It's a wild reptile that basically lives on, this is food, so I'm going to eat it, or this is a threat to me.
Right.
Which ball pythons, usually if they're being threatened, the first thing they'll do is just curl up in a ball and hide.
Right.
And then biting is basically last resort. And they go by scent. They basically remember scent. They're like, okay, this smell is safe. And this one is food, and this one's danger. Kind of like that.
That's interesting.
So if they recognize a scent, then, which I think most people, I think they kind of tie people in general, like, as one scent. Unless you smell, like, completely different, like some people do.
Right.
Then they kind of have to get used to that scent again. But even then, like, they don't have much of a memory.
Are their eyes not that great either then? If they're just mainly going off their nose?
No. They do have eyesight. They can see, but they don't remember.
Okay.
Like, things like that. Their memory, like, their brain's very small. So I think their sense, they can remember for a lot longer.
Interesting.
Where their eyes is more just for immediate, like, what's there? What's in front of me?
Right.
And their eyes are actually really cool. They can pick up heat.
Really?
Yeah, so they can see, like, where heat's coming from with their eyes. Kind of almost in, like, an infrared vision kind of thing.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah. And so that's how they kind of know, like, when I put food in for him, I make sure it's warm. So you can tell this is a living thing. It's not actually living, but it's like, this is kind of a living thing. It kind of helps him.
Yeah, this is food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and he's able to kind of register that with his eyes. And
That's
same with them being cold-blooded. They need a heat source in order to live. So he's able to pick up in his little thing there where the heat is. And he'll go over to that. So, yeah.
So do you have him like a heat lamp or something?
It's a heat pad underneath.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right then. Cool. Yeah, to me, a pet is like something that's furry and cute, and Nick's like, it slithers.
Hey, low maintenance.
Very low maintenance.
Very interesting. Not every day, you go to somebody and they say, I got a pet snake, so.
Yeah. Before, I'd be like, I still never in a million years would have a pet snake. And before, I probably would have been like, if you have a pet snake, I'm not coming to your house. But I feel like I would be comfortable enough to go to your house now. If we were neighbors, I would be like, okay, cool. Just as long as you don't throw them around me or whatever, I'm good.
Yeah, here's a snake, okay, bye.
Yep.
You lock you in a room with the snake for like a little bit.
No. I haven't gotten to that level yet.
Yeah. No, he's pretty good with people. He's very good. So
it's really cool. Yeah, I think there's a crisis. I want to say there's a crisis down in Florida for boa constrictors because people have them as pets, and then whatever happens, they ended up just letting them go, and now they have like wild boa constrictors everywhere down in Florida, which doesn't surprise me because Florida.
Yeah, boa constrictors are they're quite the snake. I mean, ball pythons are a constrictor type of snake. So
is it true that like a snake will be as big as its surroundings? So if you keep a snake in like a fairly, small box, they won't really outgrow it. But if you let that sucker out into the wild,
that's fish.
Oh, is that fish?
That's fish.
Okay.
Snakes, you definitely need to have the right size thing for what they are.
So you can't really control how big or small a snake is going to be then?
No.
Okay.
That's all based on what the type of snake is and their genetics, how big they're going to grow. I know many breeders that keep them in small areas until they sell them wherever. And
Right.
Yeah, they'll get like as big as a normal one usually should be. So, but yeah,
Alrighty then.
ball pythons are a
Snake
constrictor
knowledge.
type of snake, so they constrict their
That
prey
means, yeah.
instead of
basically
using like
suffocate there.
teeth or a venom like some snakes do. Stay away
Right.
from those terrible snakes. I don't know how people have them as pets.
Rattlesnakes, copperhead,
Yeah, I don't know how people have them as pets. It's crazy. I would never.
water moccasin. Like, I don't know so much about a rattlesnake. I think a rattlesnake is pretty afraid of you. Like, it'll only strike if you piss it off or, come into its space. But I have seen a copperhead and I have seen a water moccasin. They are aggressive and they will chase you.
Yeah.
They bad. My grandfather got bit by a freaking water moccasin when he stepped out on the back porch one night, and he killed the damn thing, put it in a sack, and took it with him to the ER.
Oh my god.
He was like, I got bit by a snake, and here's a snake that bit it in case you need to do something with
It's
it.
actually not a bad idea. Either that or a picture of it,
Yeah.
right? So then they can
Yeah.
they at least know, right?
Right.
So they need to know in order to judge what anti-venom to put in you. So
It's good old Pops, though. But yeah, I guess
Nice.
that's about it. We still haven't gotten any mail, so please write us. Tell us who's on your Mount Rushmore of music. Tell us what are you putting into your
right.
time capsule. If you have any questions or comments, please send them in. GBBSpodcast@gmail.com. Questions and comments will be read and answered right here on the next episode, which will be coming August 4th.
Next one's in August. It's crazy, guys. We're into that.
That is insane.
Well past the halfway point in the year now. We're in August. Summer is getting near to being all done.
Summer's about to be over.
We're nosediving straight in the fall. So
There you go. I'm kind of ready for it, and I think all our lovely friends across the pond are ready for it too, because I know they've been dealing with a pretty brutal
Lot
heat
of
wave
heat.
over there.
even here now, we're getting heat wave here now too, and it's like 5 days all in a row with temperatures above 30 degrees Celsius, and then the humidex
It's funny
values at
because
40.
it's like I want to say it's a little bit cooler than normal here. Like, it's still hotter than Hades,
Right.
but like it's definitely, it's been warmer in the UK and the western parts of Europe than it has here the last few days, which is kind of wild.
And I know air conditioning's like less common
I
over
know.
there, and
Yeah.
so yeah.
Wild, stifling.
August
But anyways, I am Wendy, twitch.tv/BravoChick, @BravoChick10 on Twitter. So hit me up. And yeah.
This is
How about
Nick,
you, Nick?
also known as Nickinator15, in a lot of areas: YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and then Instagram is the real Nickinator. So there you go.
There you go.
That's been us, episode 4 of GBBS, and we'll
Yep.
catch you guys on the next episode.
We'll see you in episode 5 on August 4th.
Bye.